all luck. We're all just a hair's breadth from losing everything.
First of all, this film is absolutely brilliant. On Swift Horses explores romantic connections, identity, and self-discovery in such a layered way. Daniel, you've said that the story felt deeply personal to you because of a platonic romantic relationship in your own life. How did that personal connection inform your direction of the Muriel and Julius dynamic?
You know, the Shannon Pufall's novel described it so beautifully. I'd actually been trying to write something about that relationship because I thought it was so unique. When I was in film school, I had a screenwriting teacher who, two things that he said always haunt me. One was, just because it happened to you doesn't mean it's interesting. And the second one was, a love story is only as good as the restraining forces that keep the lovers apart. And I felt like Muriel and Julius have this bond that transcends, and a kind of love that kind of transcends even sexuality. You know, it's this platonic relationship that's very intense, and they're almost like twins, you know, in the world. And yeah, I thought, you know, my experience was very different, but that Shannon and our screenwriter Bryce Cass described it so beautifully that, you know, we just had to get the scenes up and let them play.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Daisy, Muriel starts the film tethered to domestic life, but gradually breaks free into a world of secret longing and self-discovery. What excited you about taking on that transformation?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually Daniel just said it so well, but like, I think the film explores love in all its forms in a really interesting way, because I think, you know, her love of Lee and her love of Julius, her love of Sandra, her love of herself and how she kind of starts to develop that. I found the script so beautiful and her arc so beautiful, and I found it incredibly lyrical. And, you know, I loved the ways in which we see her quietly start to push the boundaries, you know, when it comes to her gambling, but then also in her exploration of her sexuality. And I've always loved stories which show the people that come into your life that fundamentally change the course of it. And I think especially when you're telling stories of, you know, characters in their early 20s, those interactions that they have, that moment that she goes to the party at Sandra's, you know, it fundamentally changes her entire rest of her life. And I just love stories that explore that.
I love that. Now, Diego, Henry arrives in Julius's world with this quiet charisma, but clearly carries his own secrets. Can you talk about building that intense emotional chemistry with Jacob Elordi?
Well, Jacob is such a dedicated actor. I like more to improvise. He really likes to rehearse, but at the same time, he's really brave. And I remember, like with Dan, every scene we had to find, you know, and it was different every time. But I think if you don't feel safe, you know, you can't explore. And I found a perfect partner with Jacob, actually.
I love that. Now, Sasha, Sandra brings a different kind of energy to the film, more modern, more impulsive. What was your way in understanding her, and what does she represent in Muriel's journey?
I think Sandra creates a very safe space for Muriel. I think she sees, you know, something different around her. And I think she also wants to embrace Muriel and wants to, even though there's complications within that relationship, she really wants to embrace her and not judge her and allow her to explore that love and that connection. But at the same time, I think that, you know, Sandra's very much herself and is brave and sets a boundary when it gets too far. You know, when it starts hurting, I think she sets a boundary, and I think I'm very proud of her for that as well. I find it to be, a very strong thing to stand up to someone that you're starting to love, and with the potential of losing the one that you love, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Daniel, you've called gambling a code for queer love in the film. Can you talk more about how you use that visual language, rhythm, and atmosphere to underlie that metaphor on screen?
Yeah, I think, you know, this is a film about characters who are hiding themselves, you know, and about people who are finding each other. So they spend a lot of time watching each other. You know, Henry and Julius are in the catwalk watching cheaters down below, but they have this connection. You know, Muriel's watching her neighbor, Sandra. And she's, they're all, I think, there's a lot of, we get to see Muriel's transformation and her imitate. When she meets Sandra for the first time, she says, "So you live here alone?" And then the second time she goes to the book party and they have their romantic moment on the back porch, she says, "So you're not afraid of being alone?" So, I think there's a lot of danger in what they're all doing. And then, they're literally gambling with their safety and their happiness to be who they really are.
Absolutely. Now, Daisy, you've played several women discovering new parts of themselves under societal pressures. Can you talk about what Muriel taught you in your own performance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think, like I said before, I really love the quiet ways in which she starts to rebel. I find the kind of gambling scenes really interesting because she really, when she first goes, she's really hiding herself. She's got her glasses or her scarf on, and she's really kind of just feeling into what it's like to be there. And by the end, you see her really dress in this elegant way and just completely own her power and really kind of step into it. So yeah, I think I just love the ways she pushes the boundaries, and I like characters that kind of teach me it's good to do that.
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you guys so much for your time. This film is absolutely amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Gracias.
Take care.
This is the one thing we can do out there in the world, right in front of them. We want something, we gotta take it.